Hi, I'm Ron Seidel. I'm the Channel Sales Manager for Stratus Technologies. I work very closely with InSource Solutions. We, Stratus, are a Wonderware certified hardware partner. And as I said, we're talking today about how we work with InSource as it relates to the future-ready factory IT infrastructure. So a little bit about Stratus. We've been around since 1980. We have 30 worldwide locations. We have over 21,000 customers. We're based in Boston, Massachusetts. We're very tightly associated as a technology partner with Intel, with Microsoft, with VMware, with Red Hat Linux. That gives you comfort that if you have any issues, we can help to resolve them. We have a wide and diverse customer base. As an example, roughly 95% of credit card transactions go through Stratus servers. Over 1,000 E911 centers in North America are running on Stratus servers. So think about this. When somebody's breaking into your house and you call 911, you don't want them to say, well, we're sorry, the computer-aided dispatch system is down. So the cost of downtime in those situations could be your life. The cost of downtime in the industrial automation sector, it depends. I'll give you an example. Amgen Pharmaceutical, they're under CFR Part 11 FDA compliance. If they lose any data in their data historian collection, they have to throw the whole batch of live enzymes away. That's $1 million lost. Capstone Paper, they're more into building paper products, right? But if their machine breaks down, their cost of downtime per hour is $162,000. So we're here to protect you against the unplanned cost of downtime. How much does that cost? Only you would know. Point being, you'd be in good company with the Stratus FT server because, as you can see here on the screen, a wide, diverse customer base. So let's talk about the Internet of Things, the buzzword of today, right? There's 50 billion things on the Internet, right? But what is currently available and what will be available in the industrial automation is a little bit different. So IoT, Internet of Things in practice, mobile phones, home appliances, home security, solar power, medical cars, research. Those are things we're familiar with on a personal basis. But in the industrial automation Internet of Things, we may call it the Internet 4.0, Industry 4.0, connected enterprise, the industrial revolution of the 21st century. But the implications are, we're not going to probably put our SCADA application into the cloud, but how about sharing some information to be able to conduct some analytics in the cloud? So let's start with having an Internet of Things as a starting point in your local plant. Well, how do we do that? So there's building blocks of an IoT infrastructure or environment. We have applications. We're doing some computing, right? We're doing networking. We have information distribution. So with respect to networking, we're connecting isolated data sources to create an Internet of Things. We're also transferring data into information. Data is one thing. Interpreting it and making it information beneficial to running the plant is another thing. With the computing, we're hosting expanded number and a bigger portfolio of applications. Much more what we call critical applications are being put into your computing environment. The data that we put to the cloud, we can now say, why is plant number 1 more effective than plants 2, 3, or 4? Let's analyze that, and let's build upon that and be able to create a more effective plant 2, 3, and 4 based upon the information that we're sharing up in the cloud. So the industrial computing architecture of the future is a hybrid cloud. What that means is we have to start locally. So let's do that with virtualization. Virtualization in your IT shop is pretty ubiquitous. They've been virtualizing for years. Virtualization in OT is probably a little bit behind the curve. We're probably into the 50-60% utilization of virtualization in OT compared to 80 or 90% in IT. So what we do at Stratus is we take the risk out of virtualization. We take the risk out of it because when you're putting all your eggs in one basket, putting more and more virtual machines on a singular platform, you need to make certain that platform will not let you down, or the whole plant could come crashing down, right? So what are the pain points in an industrial automation environment, IT versus OT? It's all about downtime. What's the cost of downtime? Are there any other costs of downtime, like brand recognition? How about from the standpoint of security or trust or even regulatory issues? Have you lost any data? Once again, it's a complex environment to manage within an infrastructure that you set up if you're using the old computer infrastructure such as on the screen here right now. thick clients, multiple servers, one server per application, because you don't want your SCADA application to be on the same computer as your print server. You don't want conflicts between applications. So historically, we put one application on one physical machine. We're using thick workstations as well. So it's complicated. It's more difficult to manage. It's more cost effective. It's less cost effective to have this infrastructure. So the total cost of ownership is high. A modern computer infrastructure would incorporate virtual machines, multiple virtual machines on a single physical host. So it's easier to manage. Smaller physical footprint, lower cost for the electricity and for the air conditioning, for example. More availability because we have a single virtual host supporting all these virtual machines. That being said, there's risk there. If that single virtual host fails, we have a problem. So as I'm showing you here, server 1, 2, and 3, physical machines, separate physical machines. If the server 1 fails, the HMI application goes down. If server 2 fails, the historian goes down. But now think about this. We put all these applications on one physical platform, and we have now three virtual machines on one physical platform. If that physical server, the host server, fails, all those applications fail. So what does IT recommend for you to do? They're going to recommend what they know best, and that's build a complex, high availability, failover, and recovery solution, just like they do for your email server and things of that nature. But think about this. If you're setting up a new infrastructure for your OT, for your plant operations, you have to buy at least two, maybe three physical host computers, 2 switches, a storage area network, multiple OS licenses, multiple application licenses. It's very expensive, and it's very complicated. And just think about the time it takes to design it, to set it up, all the time that would take, and how much time it takes to test things. And if you had your host on the left and it had an application, if you updated that application and didn't update it on the failover host, and you did have a failover, it wouldn't work. So there's lots of complexity, lots of management that goes along with that. Our solution would be a fault-tolerant hardware option. A single physical host supporting multiple virtual machines, providing even higher levels of availability. We're talking about how many nines? 99.9999. We're actually close to 6 nines of availability with a Stratus FT server. Let me talk about how we do this, right? Every computer, whether it's your desktop or workstation or a server, starts out the same way. You have a CPU, a chipset, memory on the one half. On the other side of the house, you have your PCI network, you have your disks. The way a computer manufacturer develops a computer is based upon the lowest cost. As a consumer, you want to buy the highest horsepower for the lowest cost. As an industrial automation consumer, you want the lowest cost of failure, the lowest mean time between failure. So with Stratus, we start with that objective in mind. Now, we also have another special thing. We call it the automated uptime layer. That's a series of custom ASICs and software and almost 36 years of application knowledge as to how do we protect against a fault? How do we tolerate that fault? So, for example, if something failed here, how can we keep running? Well, we couldn't, right? So we have to have duplex hardware. A single server with 2 of everything, 2 CPUs, 2 memory banks, two disks. We do everything together as one. We call it lockstepping the CPU. So when you click an enter key on an application, the CPU on the top half and the CPU on the bottom half are executing that command at the same clock cycle, writing to the same memory set simultaneously. On this left side of the screen is where we have the disks. We're mirroring the disks. So from top half to bottom half of the system, we're mirroring the data to 2 sets of disks. So we have multiple path I/O. How do we do that? We have to communicate to the network. We have a top half and a bottom half of our server, right? So we have 2 NIC cards. However, we have 1 MAC address. So if a NIC card failed on the top, we continue to operate like nothing happened because we're sharing 1 MAC address. So this is a purpose-built infrastructure providing always-on processing and always-on availability. Here's what it looks like with the actual covers on it. So from an operations perspective, you don't have to learn anything special. It's not like, oh, it's a special server. It's special in how we do what we do, but it's transparent to the interoperability for you and for your IT folks if they're involved, or whoever has to load software and manage the software, it looks like one server. It acts like one server. It is one server, but it has duplex componentry. And that's how we provide for availability. Single software means single OS license, single license of the application. You don't need to have two historians because the applications are being protected by a fault-tolerant server. So fully redundant hardware, lockstep technology, single system, single license, no failover time, no data loss, no need for duplexing or for having multiple application licenses. Everything's hot swappable. And I'll talk about that in a slide or two in the future. But basically a lower total cost of ownership than any other technology out there and the highest level of availability. So here's what it looks like, and here's the back side of it. We have 3 different models to choose from, and these are all custom built to order. So how do we know which machine, which FT server fits your needs? We've developed a sizing tool with, in collaboration with InSource to determine how many applications you're running, how many virtual machines, how many CPUs do you need, how much RAM do you need. And so in the case of the 2800, it's it's a single socket, 8 core, with hyper-threading at 16 core, 64 gigs of RAM. If that's not enough, if you need more, we go to the 4800 series. A 12 CPU single socket with hyper-threading, that's 24 virtual cores, up to a quarter terabyte of memory. If that's not enough, we have a 6800. 2 12-core sockets, 24 physical cores, 48 virtual cores, a terabyte of RAM maximum. I have one customer example, they had 45 virtual machines running on one 6800 platform. That's phenomenal. What a low cost of ownership. From a storage perspective, we have disks that can be either fast spinning, 15K, or slower spinning, 10K, or solid state disks, or we can go to an external storage area array. We call ours the FT server, the FT scalable, and it allows you for unlimited growth of your disks. So you have 8 disks on board within the enclosure, up to 9.6 terabytes. If that's not enough, you go to our FT scalable storage area array. So how do we repair a system? How do we know that something failed? Because it's transparent to you, the operator. The system continues to operate no matter what happens. So in this case, the CPU has failed. Stratus is connected to your infrastructure. Your infrastructure would call home to Stratus and say, hey, guess what, Stratus? Site ID 12475 has had a failure. We would then call you on the phone and say, hey, John, please connect us with a VPN. We're going to analyze this, make sure that the failure that we were alerted to is indeed what is the problem. We're going to order either a complete half of the system, customer replaceable unit, or a hard drive, nothing in between, that one or the other. We're going to send it out to you the next business day. And all you have to know is how do you slide it out and slide it in, because the system is hot swappable. It resynchronizes automatically. All the while, your application never stopped working. All the while, you're performing at full production and full performance. Nothing slowed down. And as far as resynchronizing, it does it behind the scenes. Once again, doesn't slow the system down. We're 24/7, 365 worldwide. If you called us up on the phone, you'd be talking to somebody either in Boston, Massachusetts, Maynard, Massachusetts, or Phoenix, Arizona. No menus to go through. We have 21,000 servers under contract. We have 7 major support centers. If FedEx can get you to your location the next business day, you'll be back in duplex mode. Worst case scenario, you're in simplex mode. That means the system kept working. You just don't have duplex capability, and when you get the replacement component, you're back in full duplex mode. You're back fully covered against any other potential failure. We have 147 customer service employees. That's about 25% of our workforce. That's pretty significant for a high-tech arena company like Stratus to have that many customer service employees. So our service difference is if something fails, we tolerate that failure. The system continues to run in full production at full performance. We can diagnose nearly 100% perfectly what's wrong with it. We're going to validate that by calling you up. The system does do this thing called call home. You define the criticality of the failure. You tell us this is mission critical, it's failure, it's a category 1, and we respond accordingly. No menus to call through. You talk to a live person every time. Industrial automation is our biggest and fastest growing market segment. We're very tightly aligned with Wonderware. We're a certified hardware partner. All these applications you see on the screen here from Wonderware work in a virtual environment. No issues whatsoever. This would not be our first rodeo to deal with virtualizing these applications for you, our newest customer. How else can we monitor the system? We can go through an OPC server. So we can provide for an OPC server to show you on your SCADA application something happened to the Stratus server. No worries, it kept working. However, something did happen. Please call Stratus if we weren't connected for the call home, if you're relying upon the OPC server. Just a different way of monitoring the system. We give you flexibility. It's not just the server. You've got your infrastructure, you've got your networking, you've got things of that nature, your PLCs, your sensors, your valves. How do we monitor all that, right? We have a tool that we call Sightline Assure. It's a software tool to allow you to see the whole infrastructure and determine where might there be a bottleneck, what's happening within the infrastructure, not just the Stratus server, but what about the bandwidth, what about other components within your infrastructure. So Assure Basics it's purpose-built for the industrial automation and manufacturing industry. It provides simple yet powerful IT performance monitoring. It simplifies and streamlines your whole solution stack to make it one view to see what's going on. You can monitor your system, you can analyze it, you can predict, you can prevent, you can also restore an application before it failed. And this is all done with the product called Sightline Assure. So here's all components of an industrial automation solution stack where you've got your VMware running on a Stratus server, hosting your applications, your Sightline Assure monitoring everything, seeing what's happening with the PLCs and things in the industrial side of the house. It's very easy to work with. It's a single pane of glass. So in one simple view, you can see what's going on. It's out of the box integration with FT server. We actually install it on every FT server, so you can have a free copy to try it out to begin with. So a future-ready industrial automation IT infrastructure includes a private cloud, a local cloud with virtualization, with thin clients, with APC thin clients and thin manager, with Assure monitoring the whole solution stack. So our value proposition to you, our potential customer, is simplicity. We're very tight with all of our ISVs like Wonderware. We have sizing tools to determine which size of an FT server you would need. We sell through distribution. Your source of getting an FT server is in-source solutions. We have a jumpstart model. So when we install a system, we actually come on site, we install it onto your network, we train your people on how to deal with calling us if you have to call us, and how to do the two screws, two thumbnails, and take out the system. We have a variety of service models to choose from. We have an OPC server. We're more than 5 nines of availability. We can lease as well. So if you can't capitalize it and you want to get an FT server, including software from InSource, we can lease the entire package. Just an option for you. Sightline Assure is a performance application for monitoring the whole solution stack. We can do things such as have our extended platform support, which is 24/7, 365, unlimited parts availability for a flat fee per year. And with Sightline, once again, you can monitor the whole system with a single pane of view. So a great total cost of ownership from a company that's been around for 36 years, working in conjunction with InSource for the past, 16 years, I believe, is the case. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, by all means, reach out to your InSource representative, and he'll be able to get you in touch with whomever within the organization to answer any question you might have. Thank you very much.